guys, welcome to the Ratchet Christian. My name is Esmao and I am the Ratchet Christian. Thank you always for coming back to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to talk about how to heal, like a step-by-step process of how to heal those wounds that we all walk around with, that we have in our heart. I'm not talking about a physical healing because I'm not a doctor. I'm talking more like a spiritual healing, how to get down into those deep, grimy things that keep us awake at night and heal them permanently. So this is important because a lot of us walk around with open spiritual wounds. A lot of us have things that hurt us when we were little kids, things that people did to us, things that people said to us that we never healed from. So we're walking around with all these open wounds. And I always make the analogy that it's like walking around with like a big open cut. If you don't cover it, if you don't let it heal, a lot of bad bacteria can get in there and make you sick. And it's the same thing when you have a spiritual wound where somebody hurt you emotionally and you didn't let it heal and you walk around with it open, and that's going to attract a lot of bad spirits. It can attract a lot of bad people, and it's just like an open cesspool for bad things. So today we're going to heal those wounds. And also walking around with like a broken heart, being hurt from a relationship, being hurt from something that maybe a parent or a friend did to you, because your friends can break your hearts too. And then trying to love people and then trying to get into relationships with this broken heart. I compare that to running with a sprained ankle. Like, you can do it, but you're not going to do it well, and it's going to be painful. And it's the same thing when we're trying to love and get into brand new relationships when we haven't healed from the past one. You're loving with a broken heart, and that's why it's not going well. You have to give yourself time to heal and become whole again before you go out there and play the field. So as Christians, we are already healed by the stripes that Jesus took for us. So when Jesus was on the way to be crucified, he was beat several times with whips, with just chains, things that ripped into his flesh. And every stripe that he took for us, every whoop, like every beating that he took for us, was so that we would be healed. So by the stripes that Jesus took, we are healed as believers. So that healing that you want, that wholeness that you want to feel, you already have it in Jesus Christ's name. You just have to go to him so that he can position your heart to receive those blessings and to receive that healing. So you're already healed. You just need to go to the hospital to receive the healing. And Jesus is our physician. So we need to go to Jesus so that he can heal us. Psalms 147 verse 3 says, he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. So Jesus heals the brokenhearted and he binds up our wounds. And so we're going to do a step-by-step process. You may want to take notes, maybe take a second, go grab a pen or a piece of paper, because I'm going to give you steps on how to heal your broken heart, how to heal those emotional wounds that people have inflicted upon you. And step one is to identify the pain. Like, when you hurt something physically, you have to go to the doctor and find out, okay, well, this is hurting. I don't know why. If you fracture something, you have to go and see what exactly it is that you fracture, which part of your leg or which part of your bone. And it's the same thing when you're hurting spiritually or emotionally. You need to identify where this pain is coming from. A lot of us, deal with things in life, and so many people are so depressed, so many people have anxiety, and they don't know why. I don't know why I have anxiety. I don't know why I'm depressed. I don't know why I'm suicidal, when there's actually really a reason. So the first step to healing is to identify the pain. Where is this coming from, and why do I feel this way? And there's two steps to identifying the pain. First, you have to find the root of the problem. The root is like the deep down cause. Why am I anxious? Maybe I'm anxious because when you were younger, your parents came home drunk and you didn't know if they were going to be nice to you that night or if they were going to be abusive. Maybe you're a jealous person because you didn't have a lot growing up, or maybe you're an abusive boyfriend because you used to watch your mom being abused as a little kid. You have to go to the root, like track it all the way down. Like, when did this thing begin? When did I start feeling this way? And then once you identify the root cause of it, then you can start evaluating the fruit. A lot of us, we deal with the fruit that's in our lives. Like, oh, I'm anxious. That's just a symptom of the real reason. The real cause of what's going on. Or I am, say for example, if you're suicidal, that's just the fruit of the real issue. You have to go and find the root of it. So once you find the real reason, and then you identify the symptoms of it, maybe you cut corners because that's how you saw people succeed when you were younger. Maybe you have a tendency to be promiscuous because that's how you experienced love when you were a little kid, you know, whether it was through sexual abuse or molestation. Maybe you were physically abused, and so that's why you have this temper and you're a violent person. Or maybe you didn't grow up with a lot of love and affection in your home, and so you find other ways to fulfill that by being a people pleaser, by letting people walk all over you. So once you identify the root of it and you identify the fruit of it, which is what it is that you're doing now as a result of the things that happened before, then you can also identify the person. Like, who is the person that's attached to this pain, you know? And it doesn't even have to be like abuse from when you're younger or anything like that. Like, identify, okay, maybe now I have trust issues because an ex cheated on you, okay? And so it's not that you don't trust people, it's that somebody betrayed your trust a long, long time ago and you never recover from that, okay? Well, who is the person that betrayed my trust? Let me go back to that beginning point. So that's just an example of it. And then, like, let me see, what's like another example? Because it's not always, because a lot of us have had good childhoods. I don't want to assume that all of us have had bad childhoods, but some of us can come from good childhoods and still walk around as broken adults because maybe we had a friend that betrayed us. We told her all our secrets and then she went and blasted us on social media, and now all of a sudden, oh, I don't like being around females. Or maybe boys, you had a guy that you thought was your friend, and then when you broke up with your ex, you saw him dating her. And so now you don't trust women, and now you also don't trust men. So to heal from that, you identify that, okay, what am I doing as a result of it? And then you identify the person. So the third step is to identify the person. And then after that, pray and ask God to heal you in all those broken places. So once you really take a time to sit down, go to a place quiet, find the root, find the fruit, and identify the person, you take that to God. You have done all your investigative research. Now that you have all your information, you go straight to God. Like, okay, God, I have trust issues. I am, I nag my boyfriends and I go through their phones and I'm super jealous and possessive because when I was in 5th grade, Tyrone cheated on me and it hurt me really, really bad, and it made me feel like I could never trust people again. God, I need you to help me. I need you to heal me in all these broken places. So that's just an example. You take all the information that you've gathered and you go and you give it to God and you tell him, okay, like, I need you to help me heal from this. I need you to help me move forward and just close up that old wound of mine, So that was step 1, and there was a lot in there, but that was step 1. So we're going to go ahead to step 2, and that is to sit the person down and tell them how they made you feel. If the person is alive and willing, I always encourage that you go and have a conversation with them. If there was a best friend that, you guys fell off, I encourage that you guys sit down and talk to each other. If it was your mom growing up and you felt like she was really critical of you, and then that made you critical of yourself as an adult, or guys, if it was your dad and you felt like he wasn't really as present as he should have been, he didn't hug you enough, he didn't tell you that he loved you enough, and now you have a problem showing affection to your children. Or if it was a coworker at your job that you felt like falsely accused you and you're having a hard time getting over it, like, if the person is alive and willing, reach out to them. See if you can have a conversation like, hey, I've been feeling this type of way and I would just like to know if you would like to meet in person, just so we can get some closure on this situation. But there are some caveats to this. There are some exceptions to this. I don't want to set you guys up and have you reaching out to people that you should not be reaching out to. So the caveats to this is use discretion. You know those people that you can find closure with and those people who can't. I think a lot of us get in trouble sometimes running after closure from the wrong people, when closure sometimes may just be closing the door, walking away from it, and leaving it closed forever. You may have to do your healing work by yourself, but if you know that this is somebody who's going to be receptive to you reaching out to them, somebody who you can have a decent conversation with and feel safe around, then yes. But don't reach out to somebody who was abusive towards you, and if you want to, if you're in a domestic violence situation, I wouldn't recommend that you reach out to this person to make closure unless you're years down the road, they have done some healing themselves, and then you can have somebody accompany you who you feel safe with. If you know that person is at a different space in their life now and enough time has passed where you're feeling strong and a friend can go with you to sit down and have that conversation, then yes. If you had somebody that sexually abused you as a child and you want to confront them, if you feel like they're in a space where they have changed and God has worked on their heart, and you feel safe enough to have that conversation with them and you bring somebody with you, then yes, go for it. Or even if you have an ex that you have like just really bad feelings towards, and somebody who really, really hurt you, use discretion with that, because you know there's some exes that can be manipulative. Before you know it, you're back in the bed with them. Before you know it, you find yourself back in the same situation with them all over again. So it's not everybody that you can have a sit down conversation with and heal from. Sometimes you're going to have to do your healing work alone without them in the picture. So just be mindful. If you think that you can have a good, healthy conversation with this person, I say go for it. But if you know deep down that this person is abusive, this person is manipulative, I don't need to be around them, then I 100% respect that, and you don't need to be around them. And so whether you talk to them or not, you can still go on to step 3, which is to forgive them. Mark 11, verse 25 says, "And whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father who is in heaven may forgive you your trespasses." This isn't optional. You have to forgive people. Whether you can have that sit-down conversation with them or not, whether you have that conversation and it goes well or it doesn't. And I also meant to add, if you're going to have these conversations with them and meet with this person, just go into it knowing that the conversation may not go the way that you want it to. They may not own up to it. They may not apologize. They may make you seem like you're crazy and you don't know what it is that you're talking about. Just know that you're going there to get it off your chest. You're not going there for them to agree with you. You're not going there for them to even feel sorry, because some people are not going to be sorry. So just go into it having realistic expectations so that you don't get too let down. What's going to be beneficial for you is to get that out in the open, to bring something out of your system that you've been sitting on, leave it on the table and walk away from it. It's there, it's dealt with, and whether they are sorry or not, it is what it is. You can move forward and have peace. And so once you've done that, then you can move on to step 3, like I just said, which was to forgive them. As Christians, we are required to forgive people, 7 times, 77 times. Like, we are required to forgive everybody of anything that they've done, because we've sinned against God and God has forgiven us. And if we want God to continue to forgive us, then we have to continue to forgive other people. So forgiveness is a requirement if you yourself want to be forgiven. And I know there's things that I've done that I need God to forgive me for. And so I try my best to forgive other people. But forgiveness is such a broad topic, It's so easy for us to say, yeah, I forgive them, and really deep down we don't forgive them. Deep down we still don't like them, we still don't trust them. And so I'm going to break it down step by step how to forgive people. So forgiveness was step 3, and in forgiveness I'm going to have like a few points. So my first point is, don't try to get revenge on them. So if you want to forgive somebody, don't try to get revenge on them. Just let it go. Romans 12:19 says, "Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God. For it is written, vengeance is mine. I will repay, says the Lord." Vengeance belongs to God. It's not up to you to try to scheme and get them back. Or, it's not up to you to try to catfish them, get them to fall in love with somebody that's not real. Like, don't go out there and try to avenge yourselves. It's not up to you to try to set your best friend up and call child protective services on them because she stole your boyfriend. Fellas, you don't need to go and try to fight this guy because you felt like he disrespected you. All of that payback belongs to God, and it's better that God gives it to them than we do, because God knows how to really get people back. So I'd much rather God handle it than for me to try to handle it and end up in an even bigger mess than what I should have been in the first place. So to move on, the first point under forgiveness was to do not try to get revenge on them. The second point under that is to pray for them. Pray for people. Matthew 5, verse 44 says, "But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." So you would think that, God, I don't want to pray for somebody. I don't want you to bless this person who did me wrong. God, I don't want to see my mom happy after she did drugs my whole childhood and wasn't around for me. I don't want to see you bless my dad with a brand new family when he divorced my mom and left us in a lurch. Or I don't want to... Sorry, guys, I got a text message. It's like, I don't want to see my best friend happy and prosperous, living her life in Miami after she lied on me and all this stuff. Listen, leave me alone. Who is this sending me a text message? I'm trying to talk about Jesus. Annoying. I'm gonna forgive them though. But yeah, you want to just pray for them. You know, anything that you wish on other people, you also wish on yourselves. You don't want to be like, oh, I forgive them, but that's okay, because when they see me riding by with my new boo, they're going to be in their feelings. Oh, that's okay, because God's going to get them back. Your karma is going to be who you end up with. That's okay, because yes, I got fired from this job, but I hope she gets fired too. Don't wish bad on people, because whatever you wish for them is also what you wish for yourself. It's so tempting when you break up with somebody to be like, that's okay, because I'm going to move on and find better, and then they're going to end up with somebody sloppy and disgusting, and they're not going to be happy. Whatever you wish for them is what you also wish for yourself. Don't wish bad for people. Pray for them, you know? And it's hard, but it helps you to heal when it's like, God, I pray that whatever is wrong with this person, that they did this thing to me, that you'll heal that part of them, you know? Because if you're out there hurting people, something's wrong with you, and something's probably wrong with that person who did what they did to you, and they need prayer, and they may not have anybody in their life praying for themselves, and they probably aren't praying for themselves. So just do your best to not speak evil of them. Do your best to not pray bad prayers against them, like, God, I pray that you'll kill this person. You're wasting your time. God's not going to kill them. God, I pray that they'll end up with AIDS. Like, no. Don't do that, because whatever you're wishing for people, you're also wishing for yourself. If you really want to heal, if you really want to forgive, pray for them, wish them well, and send them on their way. And then the second point to how to forgive is to constantly remind yourself to let it go. I tell myself all the time, let it go, let it go, let it go. There's times where I'll wake up, I'll be thinking about something, I'm like, let it go. What's the point in thinking about it? Like, that's stupid. Philippians 3 verses 13 says, brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it. But one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and pushing towards what is ahead. I love that scripture so much. And I've had times in my life where I had to hold on to that, because I can live in the past. You know, I have been in a season of my life where I've been very bitter towards a lot of people, and I've just wanted to be like, I want to know who I am when I'm not mad at somebody, you know. I want to know who I am when I'm not feeling resentful towards somebody, you know. And so the best way to do that is just forget what happened in the past, you know, and press forward to what's ahead. And what has really been helpful to me is to tell myself to let it go. When I want to think about something, I physically say to myself, okay, let it go, move forward, whatever. And then what was also helpful, I don't know where it is that I read this, but it said that somebody may do something to you once, and if you don't let it go, if you continue to sit on it, you relive that moment every single day. So you may have had somebody cheated on you one time, but every single time that you think about that, you relive that experience. You may have had somebody cheat you out of some money and, you know, ruin your business one time, but every day that you choose to think about that, you relive that same experience over and over and over again. So they may have actually really just hurt you 1, 2, or 3 times, but you have thought about it every day since then, and so you have re-victimized yourself over and over and over and over again for years on end. And what also is helpful, other than telling myself to let it go, is to remind myself how much time has really gone by. So if you're thinking about something that happened a year ago, that is 365 days that you have chosen to pick up this thing and think about it every day. If you're holding on to something that happened 2 years ago, that is 730 days that you have carried this thing around. It happened 1 or 2 days, or maybe a whole weekend, or maybe a month, or maybe 6 months, but if you choose to think about it years after that, for 2 years, you have thought about it for 730 days. And if you're still harping on something that happened 3 years ago, you have chose to think about the same situation for 1,095 days. And if you're holding on to something that happened 4 years ago, you have chose to relive that experience for 1,460 days. Is it worth it? Like, every single day, you have gotten up out of the bed and have been like, okay, let me check in. Let me grab this experience, let me fill this bag, let me throw it over my shoulder, and then let me go on about my day. Every single day you get out of bed, you have chosen to pick that up and carry it with you instead of just leaving it at God's feet. That is a long time to be thinking about something. And there's people who think about things for 8, 9, 10, 12 years. You do the math. That's a lot of days. And I don't have that many days to be sitting here wasting on you or them or this situation or that. I have a lot of life to live, and I'm just gonna let it go, because ain't nobody got time to be carrying around all that baggage for all that amount of time. So in conclusion, if you want to heal from any, spiritual, emotional wound that somebody has caused you, step one is to identify the pain. And you do that by first identifying the root cause of it, and then identifying the fruit, which is what it is that you're doing as a result. And then identify the person. And then once you've done all that research, you take it to God and you pray and ask God to heal you. And then also ask God to give you strength so that you can move on to point number two, step number two, which is to sit down and have a conversation with them. But within that, there are exceptions. If this person was abusive towards you, if you know being around this person that they're toxic and manipulative and you shouldn't be around them, then you don't need to have a sit down conversation with them. But if it's a parent, if it's a sister or a friend or a relationship that you think is worth salvaging, and you know the person is safe enough to be around, then you can have a sit down conversation with them and let them know how they made you feel. And so after you've done step two, you move on to step three, which is to forgive them. Whether or not you can have that conversation with them, you may not be able to because they're not a safe person to be around. You can still move on to step three and forgive them without this conversation. And if you're lucky enough to be able to have a healthy conversation with that person, hopefully the conversation goes well. But even if it doesn't, you're still required to move on to step three, which is to forgive them regardless of if they apologize, if they're sorry, if they own up to it. You still have to forgive, because we want God to forgive us, and we cannot be forgiven if we don't forgive other people. And so I have many points within forgiveness, which is to, if you want to forgive somebody, don't try to get revenge on them, and pray for them. And then also constantly remind yourself to let it go. Remind yourself how much time has passed since that situation. If it's been 5 years, like, it is what it is. This person did what it is, what they did. They're going on with their lives. If this happened when you were 6 years old and you're now 27, it is what it is. At this point, you have to realize, like, okay, like, that was what happened. How am I going to move forward as an adult? Just constantly remind yourself of the amount of time that has gone by, and just tell yourself to let it go, because the devil is going to encourage you every single day to think about this. There's times where I get out of bed, right away I'll think about something that happened when I was in like seventh grade. For what? I'm a whole 26 years old. I don't need to think about what somebody said or how somebody made fun of me because I was dark in 7th grade. So what? I'm fine now. What's up? Just saying. But it's like, that's how the enemy works, like, remember when this person said this, or remember when this ex did that. It's like, so what? Like, who cares? I'm single, ready to mingle. Like, I'm not gonna mingle, but it's like, I know I'm gonna meet an amazing guy and life's gonna be amazing. Like, I'm not worried about it. The enemy's going to encourage you to think about these things. And you just have to be like, sorry, Satan, I'm not thinking about today. I'm not thinking about that today. I'm not thinking about that tomorrow either. Nope, not happening. I'm going to let it go. And you just have to constantly do that. It's a choice that you have to make every single day. And yes, so in conclusion, just what I was saying is, rebuke the enemy when he tries to make you bitter. The more you choose to walk around in unforgiveness, you're not hurting that other person by not forgiving them. A lot of people think forgiveness is doing the other person a favor. It's not. Forgiveness is doing yourself a favor. Forgiveness is you setting yourself free and not holding yourself to that situation that person did to you years ago. Forgiveness is just being like, you know what? I'm just going to move forward. Not even for you, but for me, because I deserve to be happy. And the more you hold on to stuff, the more it makes you resentful, the more it makes you bitter, and the less pleasing you are to be around as a person. It oozes out of your pores when you're a resentful, bitter person, So all those good things that you want to have happen in your life, you can't even receive them because of the space that you're in emotionally, So let it go so that you can make room for the new stuff that God wants to bring. Because I promise you, he has new good things for you. No matter what happened in your life, God can always do a new thing, and God can always pour more blessings if you have room enough to receive them. So just choose every day to be better instead of bitter. Don't be a bitter person. And then give yourself time. It takes time. I love time. I love change, because time heals all. There's things that I thought I would never get over, and then like 2 years later, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was really tripping about that. There's relationships that I thought I would never move on from, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like years later, I'm like, thank God I'm not with that person. Give yourself time. It's going to take time to get over stuff. You don't have to go run back into a relationship right away. You don't even have to go be that person's best friend right away. Give yourself time to get over it, And that may look like, maybe blocking them. You know, I believe in blocking. That doesn't make you a bad person, doesn't make you a bad Christian. But if you know you're trying to heal and move forward and this person always draws you back into their drama, draws you back into their nonsense, block them. Or if you don't want to, you know, go as far as blocking them, mute their posts on social media. You don't need to be updated about what's going on in their lives. You know, sometimes you're not at a space where you can be happy for people, you know, and maybe you just don't need to see every single thing that's going on. When somebody's hurt you, the last thing you want to do, is see how they're in a happy relationship and they're in Miami. And that's not to say, like, you know, to wish bad on them. Good, God bless you. But I don't need to be around and see all of that. You know, your season and you and our season in each other's lives is done. I don't need to be hanging out around your life and being updated on everything that you do. You're not a bad person if you need to block somebody in order to move on. And also stop trying to be friends with your exes. It's really hard to be friends with somebody who has seen you naked. I've seen so many times when, like, you know, I've, you know, had conversation with girls. They're like, oh, but he still wants to be friends. You can be friends like 5 years from now. You can be friends maybe 2 years from now, but you can't break up with somebody and then all of a sudden be their friend. If you guys were going to be friends, you would have started out as friends in the first place. Y'all have seen each other naked. There's not really much else that you can be friends with after that, especially not right away. You know, don't let this person hold you in that space. Move forward, heal, and then when you get to a good place where you know that you're not jealous of them when you see them with a new girl, then you can be their friend. But if you know it's painful for you to see them with somebody, then you're not ready, and that's okay. It's unfair to force yourself to be ready to be friends with somebody when you're not. And that goes for guys too, because you'll have plenty of girls that are like, oh, well, we can be friends. Meanwhile, she has a new boyfriend and she still wants you to come and take her out to eat and come change her tires. No, boo, move on. You got you a new man. Let your new man do that. And you, sir, you go and you heal and, you know, get your heart together so God can send you a wife. And if you're lucky, it might be me. No, I'm joking. Okay. We're going to focus. I don't know if you're that. Okay, we're going to focus. Yeah, so stop trying to be friends with people that have seen you naked. It's overrated, and eventually when you're in a good space, they're in a good space. Who's to say you can't be friends again? I'm sure you can, but give yourself time. And then also take a fast from social media. Listen, this is my 4th Instagram. My friends always give me a hard time because anytime I would go through a breakup, I would delete all my social media because I need time to heal. I don't need to be on social media when I'm broken and when I have all this stuff going on. I would delete my social media quick. I've been doing good. I've had this Instagram for like 2 years, which is probably the longest I have kept the Instagram. This is my 4th one, and it will be my last one because I'm not dealing with people and situations that make me feel so bad that I need to run off of social media. Like, I'm just not at that space in my life anymore. But if you are, don't be ashamed to take a little break. You can always come back. And now they have it where you don't even have to delete your profiles. You can deactivate them and come back when you're ready. Take a sabbatical, take a mental health vacation, and come back glowed up with a tan, body on point, edges growing back. You're killing the scene. Give yourself time. Yes, social media fast. I mean, taking a social media fast is good. Also consider therapy. I love therapy. Yeah, I spend most of my young adult life in therapy because I have been through some traumatic stuff. I'm not ashamed to go to therapy. I'm not ashamed to say that I've been in therapy because it has been beneficial, you know? So if you have access to therapy, even if you're not in a bad space in your life, it's just always good to have a conversation with somebody who has a different perspective and to bounce ideas off of just somebody who's not involved in the situation. Guys, I wish more guys went to therapy. Going to therapy does not make you weak. You might actually need therapy. You may think that you're just an abusive boyfriend and that's just how you are, when really you have some like deep issues that you need a professional to help you work out. Don't be ashamed to go to therapy. Therapy is great, but also so is Jesus. You can go to therapy and still believe in Jesus. You know, God gives us resources to be able to get things done down here on earth. So if you know you need to go to therapy and just, you know, talk about some issues, go and do that. And if you can't afford it, find somebody that you can trust, somebody that you can confide in, an accountability partner where you can bounce ideas off of back and forth. To continue on with our conclusion, this is a long conclusion, guys, I know. Yeah, so consider therapy, eat well, exercise, take care of yourself, sleep, drink water, and mind your business. I'm not even saying that to be funny, but minding your business will get you very far. You can tell people like, okay, I don't need you to always update me on this person. You know, you have friends that'll be like, oh, you won't believe what so-and-so did. Excuse me. It's perfectly okay for you to be like, well, I don't want to know. You know, if you're trying to get over somebody, you don't need your friends to constantly be reminding you of what it is that they have going on. Mind your business. You don't need to be going on their social media all the time. You don't need to be talking about them. You don't need to be discussing them. Like, if it has nothing to do with you, don't concern yourself with it. If you really want to heal, if you had a group of friends that you thought you were really, really tight with, and you hear some drama about them, just let it go. Don't get involved. Mind your business. It's nice and juicy. It's great to want to get in and spill tea because finally they're getting their karma. But guess what? Just let it go. God is doing things in your life that you need to focus on. You don't need to be focused on what anybody else has going on. I love minding my business. I'm great at it. I do it very well, and it's been very, very helpful. Mind your business. It'll get you very, very far. And also, realize that you've hurt people too. No one's the perfect victim. You know, as much as people have hurt us, we've also hurt other people. I know there's people that I have hurt, and I know there's people that have hurt me. I know there's people that I have cheated on. I know there's people who have, probably cheated on me. Like, you get back what it is that you put out there into the world, you know? So just know that you may have people that you have victimized and you need to reach out and make peace with. And then if somebody comes to you wanting to make peace, be open to it. Even if you don't agree with them, listen to what it is that they have to say and apologize. And I'm sorry can go a long way. If somebody needs to come get their healing from you, be open to that. You know, don't be closed off and think about all the things that people have done to you. What about the things that you have done to people? You're not innocent. You know, you've done some things that you need forgiveness for too. So be open for those conversations. And even if you have to go out there and, apologize, do that. Go provide somebody else with their healing. I'm all for if you want to have a conversation. If I ever wronged you, like, sit me down and let me know, because sometimes I can do and say hurtful things and I don't mean it and I don't realize it. So I love when my friends and family can bring it to my attention and I get the opportunity to apologize. So just know that you too can be a jerk sometimes. And then after you have done all of that, which was a lot, if you have done all of that to forgive, pray, mind your business, drink water, exercise, if you've done all of that and you still can't get over it, you still don't feel like you've healed, then this might be a deliverance issue. This might be something demonic. This might be a demonic soul tie, that you need to have broken. And only Jesus can do that. I talk a lot about soul ties. I do, because it's important to know about. You may have been in such a toxic relationship that you can't get over this person no matter what it is that you do. And you probably have a very, very toxic soul tie with them. And you need to be delivered from that demonic spirit that's keeping you two tied together. You may have a toxic soul tie with your abuser. Guys, if your abuser was your stepsister or your cousin, any type of relative, you can develop those toxic soul ties that no matter what you do, you can't seem to break free. And that's when Jesus needs to truly, truly step in, and you have to give it to him and say, God, I need you to deliver me from this person. I need you to deliver me from this soul tie, because I've tried it on my own and I cannot do it. I wish I had my book down here, because I have a book on deliverance. But if you feel like you need deliverance, just pray and ask God to guide you through deliverance, how to get set free from soul ties, how to get set free from demonic soul ties. And I promise you, God will somehow, some way make a way. And if you need me to recommend some sermons or recommend books on the matter, let me know, DM me. I will get those to you ASAP, because some of us need to be delivered from evil spirits. That's just what it is. If you've done all these things and you still can't get free, there's something demonic going on, and you need more than what it is that I recommended in this video. So guys, I really hope that this was helpful. It's important to heal. There's no reason to walk around broken, sad, hurt, bitter, resentful, because life is too good. Jesus already died for all of that so that we can have life and have it more abundantly. I wish people well. I want to see people go on and you be happy and you be fruitful, because that's exactly what I expect to happen in my life. So don't hold people hostage in your life thinking that you're hurting them. You're not. You're only hurting yourself, so you forgive them so that you can be free and so that you can have room enough to receive all the amazing things that God's going to bring into your life. I'm sorry this video was long, but it's for who it's for, and you'll sit through it if you need it. So, yeah, I pray that it blessed you, and I hope that you guys will have an amazing rest of the week, and I'll see you next week.